because I will be covering something which might be sensitive to be launched on YouTube,
Okay,
because I may be covering few of the slides with respect to TCS internal cloud,
I
and
know.
that may violate the policies. So I would request you to
Yes, yes.
just
No, no,
stop this recording.
that is why I informed you because I'm taking your permission.
Yeah, yeah.
So in case there is objection, we will not.
Sure, sure. Otherwise, what we can, okay, yeah, it is better that if it is not recorded, because
Hmm,
there might be certain internal conflicts from TCS security policy.
I know. So can we? I mean, uh, stop recording or what?
Uh, yeah, what we can do is at some point in time, I will stop you to record. I will ask you to stop the recording. At that point, you can stop the recording.
Yes, yes, that is okay. Rajeshri, you listen
Yes,
to
sir.
him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so be alert. So we have to stop recording and then start again.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. All right. So we'll begin this session. So good morning, all. Good morning, Advait. Uh, so I will introduce Advait. Advait is a technical expert with vast experience in IT industry. He has worked on various technologies in TCS in order to provide the software solutions to clients. He also holds experience on application development and enhancements. He holds expertise in different domains like telecom, BFSI, manufacturing, engineering, and industrial services. Currently, he is working as a Scrum Master in IoT area. Also, he is working as a technical industry expert for the TCS Ion digital courses based on IoT and cloud computing. He is a certified professional Scrum Master and uh, Scrum Master and certified professional Scrum product owner from scrum.org. He has special interest in IoT, AI, cloud computing, and blockchain. He has trained number of trainees or interns and guided them to resolve the industrial problem statements using the IoT solutions. He has been involved in TCS Academic Interface program for the past 3 years. He has conducted multiple seminars on IoT and cloud computing for the faculties and students from different engineering institutes. He has conducted almost 25 plus FDP and SDP programs as a part of the TCS AIP initiative. He is extremely passionate to guide the emerging talent and has strong belief in learning and sharing. He can be reached out at advait.ubdev@tcs.com. So, Advait, I welcome you again. So it is good that you have vast experience in the IoT area, and you are, I feel, the right person to talk to these participants today, because whatever experience that you have, we have discussed most of these terminologies in the past 4 days, and maybe you will give a different perspective, the industry perspective, especially on these areas. Thank you. So
Thank you so much,
I
sir.
hand over the session to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this opportunity to share whatever learnings and however we are pursuing IoT in our industry. I got to know from Dr. G.R. Patil sir that for the past 5 days or 4 days, all the participants are undergoing the training on IoT. And you might have covered topics on specific technical areas, but uh, I would like to cover the basics and then some of the detailed aspects of the IoT, its applications, and how we are pursuing IoT based applications in our industry. So I am sharing my screen. Meanwhile, if you feel any communication gap due to the technical glitch, please raise your hand. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, Advait.
Okay, so starting with Internet of Things and a bit of introduction part. So everyday items connected to the internet transform the way we work, live and play. We call Internet of Things as bringing life to things. So just starting with an example, I would like to bring you an example of IoT. Here you could see a bus. In technical terms, we will call it as a thing or a feature. It is referred as a feature of interest. So if I refer a bus as a feature of interest and I want to implement IoT in this device, in this bus, in this feature of interest, in that case, what could be the possibilities we have? So usually we had the classical software development or IT technology restricted to softwares, but now we have moved to things and other entities like equipments, devices, industrial machinery, or even human bodies. So here I am just giving you a feature of interest, a bus. So what we can do with this bus, we'll see in this picture. There is a driver. He may be operating the bus by using brake, steering wheel, clutch, and there could be certain internal parts like engine, oil gauge, petrol gauge, etc. There
Advait.
are people who will be onboarding to
Hello.
the bus. Yes, hello.
Hello, Advait.
Yes,
The
yes.
the slide is not visible. Then you have gone to the next slide.
Yes, yes, I have gone to the next slide.
Are the participants able to see the slide? Next slide.
Only
No,
first
sir.
slide.
No, sir. First letter.
Only the
Hello, hello.
first is
Only the first
Hello,
slide.
good.
Hold on,
Hello, good morning, sir. Only one
Yeah.
slide is this.
hold on.
Yes.
F5 button,
Now,
sir.
now
F5
it is
button.
visible.
Okay, I was into the
F5 button.
presentation mode.
Okay.
Now I am back to the normal mode. In fact, now if it is fine, we can continue.
Yes, sir. It is fine now.
Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah, so I was referring to some of the aspects of this bus and how we can control it. So when I am willing to apply some of the application or digital automation to this bus, there are multiple aspects or parameters on which I can have the control. It may be with respect to the angle of steering wheel, the degree of the brakes or the extent of the clutch applied. Also, I can have the measure on the fuel gauge, oil gauge, and internal engine parts, like how is it performing with reference to the servicing part of this bus. Apart from that, if I put a bar on the door, in that case, if some of the passengers are entering in, I have the rights to allow the access or deny the access for particular users or people who are getting inside the bus. So how I can control it? There may be multiple sensors specific to each area. For example, if this bus is used for carrying the employees of an organization, and let's say the employees have their ID cards and they might have their chips inserted on their ID card. And if there is a tab on the bus door that when they are tapping against that particular tab, then only the rod is opening, the gate is opening, and it is permitting the passengers to get inside. So the data from the chip is getting matched with the data that is present with our database, and that only allowing or restricting the passengers to get in or get out. On top of that, I will have the track who has entered the bus at what time, who has entered the bus, and at what time who has left the bus. Similarly, driver is driving it, I will be able to track the position of the driver. I am trying to give you few glimpses of the real-time how I do the real-time tracking of the bus. For example, in the second snippet, you can see on the Google map, you could see the route of the bus, whatever is traveled by the bus. So similarly, if I am an administrator of the organization who has 15 to 20 buses roaming in the city and wants to monitor it, one can have the screen on the wall and could track the real-time location of the buses. Not only that, depending upon the various sensors applied to the buses, we can fetch multiple data with respect to the different sensors and get the information. We can process the information and we can utilize that information for meaningful application that we could see later. But just wanted to give you a scenario like how we are implementing IoT in most of the cases of fleet management.
Sir,
Yes.
can you make it a full screen?
Okay. Once again, I am doing it in full screen mode and traversing the slides. Can you see it now?
No.
So that is the problem. When I am in full screen mode and traversing the slides, it is not visible.
Okay.
Is it visible now?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
It's visible. I know the problem because we are not able to, for the guests, it is not possible to navigate
Okay.
the slides.
So I am on slide number 4, IoT enabled technologies. Are we on the same page?
No, sir, no.
Okay, that is not working actually. Now can you see IoT enabled technologies?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is the problem. In presentation mode, it is not visible. Okay. So just wanted to start with this example. Now coming back to the IoT. When I say IoT as a technology, it could not be considered as only one technology because in my opinion, it is a complete ecosystem which embraces multiple technologies. I have enlisted few of the technologies like wireless sensor networks, communication protocols, big data analytics, cloud computing, and embedded systems. When these technologies come together, it could create an ecosystem which may lead to forming the IoT enabled ecosystem for applications. So first of all, briefing you about the wireless sensor networks. Now when I have any application with home automation, the home automation can be done by using Wi-Fi network for that particular local area. But when I refer to the example of the fleet management, where multiple buses are there and different sensors are there, so each sensor might be performing its individual task, and depending upon the sensor, data is getting generated on the real time. And you can imagine for one bus there might be 10 to 15 sensors, number of devices, real time data generation is there, data is getting generated and going to the cloud platform. Similarly, there are multiple such buses and the data is getting collected in a real time. In that case, it is very much considerable that the data quantity and scalability is going to be very high. So for that matter, we are going to use the wireless network, that is the GPS technology, or any of the telecom service provider can provide the service for transferring the data from the device or the feature of interest to the cloud computing platform. Because ultimately, since the data is very much higher, we are going to use cloud here because it is not possible for us to store the data on the local server because the scalability of data is very much high. And for that matter, the data has to be stored over the cloud. And that data could be passed on to the cloud in real time by only using the telecom services like wireless sensor networks. Now here you see 4G technology has enabled data transfer or communication with high data speed, but still it is not sufficient for IoT enabled systems. Now the 5G technology has been rolled out in few of the cities in United States where actually the data transmission speed is very much higher, like 1 Gbps or so. And some of the leading solution providing companies like Horizon or Veritas are working on the 5G solutions. So by using the 5G technology, we will be able to create an ecosystem where high speed data could be passed on a real time and that data could be processed and sent back to the actual devices for performing the further actions. Now if you see what is the restriction of the 5G technology. So when I say 5G, there will not be towers as we are using as of now. there will be number of towers which may be smaller in size, but quantity will be larger and the distance will be less, because the data transmission in 5G could not be done in case there is any restriction or interruption. Like if clouds are there or trees are there or huge buildings are there, then it may have certain restriction. So for that matter, the number of towers will increase and the ecosystem will be created, and by using the 5G technology only, real-time IoT ecosystem could be leveraged. That is the one point that I would like to make here. Apart from that, cloud computing is an essential component, because as I said, the scalability of the data is going to be huge. The data security and scalability, both are the parameters equally important as far as IoT is concerned. And real-time processing of data is also an important component, because since the data is getting generated, that data is in the form of binary digits. It may be the raw data. That data has to be segregated, that data has to be processed, and then the meaningful information is required to be analyzed and used for a particular purpose. So for the computing part of it, cloud computing platforms are essential component. There are prominent cloud computing platforms, maybe Azure or AWS or Google Cloud Computing Platform, but there are different IoT related cloud computing platforms which are designed specifically for this purpose. We will see it later. Now you see, at one end in this example, as I have shown you, we have the bus, we have sensors and devices at each entity. For example, for checking the acceleration of the bus, we can have the accelerometer. It could be in the form of software or it could be in the form of a hardware, but ultimately it is a sensor. Like that, if I want to find out the degree of the steering wheel rotation, I can have a different sensor for that. If I want to find out which employee has onboarded in the bus, then different sensor might be there for checking the employee ID of that particular employee. So different sensors will be collecting the data, and that data is getting collected on a device at the bus itself. So here you could see there could be a device on the bus which may have its own CPU utilization, its own memory. You might have heard about Raspberry Pi or any other computing devices which are onboarded on the hardware, which done its own computing. It may have its own CPU utilization, which may store the data for the time being, and that data is getting collected, and then that data is getting passed on to the cloud computing platform. So when I say passing the data is passed on by using the telecom service provided. That is one aspect of it. But when the data is getting passed on, there are certain protocols that are used for passing the data, like lightweight machine-to-machine protocols, M2M protocol, COAP protocol. Such kind of protocols are used. Gateways are there for passing the data from the device or from the feature to the cloud. So real-time data is getting passed on continuously through the device. The device is actually collecting the data from the sensors. It is processing it, storing it on a temporary basis on their own memory. There might be certain programs or scripts written on the particular hardware. It may be in Unix or any other programming language, but ultimately that data is getting passed on. And for that matter, communication protocols are used. There are multiple protocols like Zigbee and other protocols which have different aspects. For example, there is one protocol called as LoRa, LoRa gateway, which is used for particular purpose. When there is a plant of 1,000 acres and there are machineries, and when in the area of 1,000 acres you have to collect the data from different machineries in the plant, in that case that particular protocols are used for passing the data to the cloud computing platform. So depending upon the use case of the application, we can use different machine-to-machine protocols for transferring the data from actual device to the cloud computing platform. So we have, first thing is sensors and devices. Then we have network for transferring that data, and we are using protocols for transferring data to the cloud computing platform. Now what we have the data, raw data on my cloud computing platform. Now the next concept is big data analytics. See, big data analytics is actually used for processing the huge amount of data, that is the raw data which is getting collected. That data is getting segregated and used for a meaningful purpose. By processing the data with high speed, this is the scalability of the data is very high. That data is particularly used and processed for a particular purpose. There could be certain services over the cloud computing platform that can be used for processing the data in real time. and after processing the data which are based on certain algorithms, that data can be used for software development in the form of RESTful APIs. We'll come to it later on. But let's see the embedded systems. As I mentioned about the devices and onboarding units which are there. For example, if engine is there on this bus, and engine may have its different components, so we have the onboarding unit. You might have realized that when we connect a USB cable to the laptop, we'll get the entire chart and scenario in the form of graphs and bars, like how this engine is functioning. So even without opening the engine, the service provider or mechanic get to know what all are the problems in the engine by fetching the data from the sensors. So these are the embedded systems and technologies that are there. So here we could see that the electronic systems or the embedded technology or sensors and devices, these are the hardware components which are applied over the feature, which are enabling us to fetch the data, fetch the meaningful information, and protocol and network are getting used for transferring this raw information to the cloud computing platform, where we have big data analytics and machine learning algorithms which could help us to process that data, and then the meaningful information could be available in the form of the RESTful APIs to the end users. So this is the ecosystem which completes the IoT technology as a whole, where IoT components form this IoT ecosystem. Now, one thing that comes in mind is how the machine-to-machine protocol is different from the IoT. So we have the communication protocols. It could be machine-to-machine and it could be IoT. So the only difference that I could tell you is whatever is IP based, that is getting used for passing the data, could be considered as IoT when the data is passed on using the internet services based on particular internet protocols. Then only we could consider it as IoT. Otherwise, there are multiple scenarios when only the embedded system can be used for creating a network and fetching the data, and the data is available at one end, but that does not form complete IoT, because we are not using internet protocols for creating the data or generating the data, and only the hardware kit is getting used, such as Arduino, etc. Then the data could not have the scalability, and also that data could not be used for processing lot of information at the same time in real time. So there are certain restrictions with M2M, and M2M is more of a hardware kind of a thing, where only the hardware is getting used for getting the data, and that's why it has certain limitations and restrictions. When I am actually embedding that hardware with the software, then actually it creates the IoT, and for that matter I have to incorporate cloud inside it. So here we could see what is the public, private and hybrid cloud. So when I say applications of this M2M, it could be service management on-premises applications, whereas in IoT applications, these are location independent applications. In that case, there is no certain restriction of particular location as in case of bus. So the classic example could be home automation for one or two switches at your home or dining room. So that could be the machine to machine, whereas IoT could have vast scope, and that is the reason we are more focused on IoT. So coming to the cloud service models. You might be aware of the cloud service models. We have software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. So as of now, we are using
Sir, I
Microsoft Teams.
have a doubt, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, in the previous slide, you were discussing about the M2M and IoT.
Yeah.
My doubt is we already have some architecture related to IoT. So
Okay.
one of the architecture is M2M.
Okay.
So is that the one you're taking here in terms of the architecture, or I have a doubt?
Okay. So when you say you have M2M IoT architecture, it could be with respect to the protocols only, like machine to machine protocols.
Okay.
Am I right?
Okay.
Yeah. So, but apart from the protocols, you might have incorporated cloud or any of the data storage platform for data storage. So when you are passing on the data, it must be IP based.
Okay.
So when I say completely machine to machine, in that case, you might be running some of the scripts and generating the data by using the hardware. And once you have that data generated, you can write the program in any of the programming language over the local host and then perform certain operations over the local host.
Actually,
That
we
may
have,
not happen
sir,
except to
I
internet
have
of.
a doubt here, sir. That
Yeah.
is, we have many different type of layers here, right, sir?
Yes, yes.
In M2M itself, we have many different type of layers.
Yeah, yeah.
So you mean to say that the cloud is not coming in that layer, sir?
Yes, I mean to say that. I mean to say the cloud is not coming in that layer, and actually, for example, let me give you the scenario. Like whenever you are actually connecting your USB to your vehicle and getting the data over the laptop, that data is getting fetched out of the information that is there in the hardware.
Okay.
But when you are passing on this real-time data over the internet to somewhere and it is getting analyzed, then there is the IP-based system that is getting used.
Sir,
Okay.
can we say hello? Sir,
Yes, yes.
can we say that IoT just extends the capabilities of M2M?
Exactly. It is actually leveraging the location independent and high scalability capacities that are the restriction for this hardware-based system.
Okay. So, okay. So you mean to say that there is a cloud which is not connected with the M2M.
Exactly. So here, when I say the fourth point here, data collection and analysis. So you could see it's on-premise data storage, and here in IoT we have the cloud. So when on-premise data storage is there, what happens is there might be certain allotted memory to the hardware. On that hardware allotted memory, you are collecting the data, and that data could be fetched at the local host, and we can use it for our analysis purpose. But when I say we are passing the data in a real time, then the scalability becomes higher, and then that data can be used and processed in real time by using different algorithms and different services on the cloud computing platform. So that is actually enhancing the capacities of this.
Yes, sir. So if my need is M2M, I can stop with M2M itself. If I want to extend, then I can go for IoT.
Yes, exactly. For example, if there is certain engine related aspects like corrosion and etc., and you have certain sensors in your bus, but you don't want to check it in real time, you want to check it on a monthly basis, then you can connect your USB drive and fetch the data on a monthly basis and analyze that.
Okay.
So that is the on-premise data storage that is done using sensors and all.
Okay.
But there are certain parameters like speed of the device, speed of the bus, that you want to monitor on a real time basis. So for that matter, you cannot be restricted to this.
Okay.
So actually we are leveraging it, and we should not get confused with that.
Okay.
Like whenever internet is getting used and internet protocols are used for transferring the data, in that case we could say that internet of things is getting used. But if we are not using any of the internet protocols and data is not getting transmitted in that fashion, in that case it is, we cannot call it as an internet of thing application. For example, I can give you a scenario when we can do home automation even without connecting to internet.
Okay.
But that could not be considered as internet of things application.
Okay, so that is at the very low level.
Exactly. But the core aspect of it is very much important for leveraging IoT. Okay, now there is one scenario.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Yes.
But Miss M2M, just you discussed about M2M. That means here also, I think so. Here also use IoT technology, because we collect the data from us, like an example from an engine. So that means here also implement a IoT based.
Okay. So
got it my question, sir.
Okay. I got you, sir. So when you are fetching the data and analyzing the data, that could not be called as IoT because Internet of Things itself represents Internet. And
Suppose
we
we
are not
collect
using
the
internet here.
collect the data from a gear, from a engine, or from a different components of a you are giving an example of a bus. So
Yes.
suppose you collect the data from a different components of from an engine. So that
Yes.
means I think there is also implement of Internet of Things.
Internet of Things we can call, but when that data is passed on to any of the software and on a real time by using any of the software application over the internet protocol, by using HTTPS client, if any application is getting used and the data in that application is coming on a real time from that particular device or feature, in that case we can call it as Internet of Things application. But if the data is only getting generated on a local system, that local
Okay.
device, and we are not passing it over the internet, then we
Okay.
could not call it as an Internet of Things application.
So that means what? That is a gateway is not at all used.
Exactly.
So before it goes to the gateway, you're calling it as a M2M, and when
Yes.
it goes to the gateway, you're calling it as a cloud.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So one more aspect of it that I would like to tell you here. For example, when there is no network and the data is getting generated in real time, so it may not be able to pass it on to the cloud computing platform. In that case, the data will be stored itself on the machine. So the machine may have a box, maybe edge box, or we can call it as edge computing, where the data is getting stored for a temporary basis, and then when the network is there, it may be getting passed on to the cloud computing platform. So that is also one thing. So we can do the computing on the device itself. That is also the another aspect.
Okay, sir. Thank you,
So
sir. Got it.
okay, okay. So here we have the cloud computing models. So there are different delivery models provided by the prominent cloud computing platforms. Three of them are software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. First, I would like to cover software as a service. But before that, just wanted to give you some of the brief about cloud computing. When I say in IoT, the scalability of the data is going to be very high. It is rarely possible for us to store the huge amount of data on local servers. And that is the reason we are using cloud computing platforms, which may have certain capabilities to store the data. For example, we have the leverage to scale the data and its capacity as per the requirement. Today, I may be using X amount of data, so I may leverage the capacity for X amount of data. But tomorrow, if the capacity increases to Y, I can increase my storage capacity to Y, and that is the flexibility provided by the cloud computing platforms. For example, if an e-commerce company is there and they have the Diwali sale, in that case, the concurrent users might be higher on that particular day. So for that one particular day, they may not have the capacity for the entire year. For that matter, they can leverage by virtualization the capacity of the storage. Similarly, when my fleet is onboarded and my buses are there, I can leverage the capacity of the data storage depending upon the capacity, and that is the flexibility provided by the cloud computing platforms. And obviously, I am paying as per my usage to the service providers. This is the one advantage of storing the data which has high scalability. Another point is that there are certain services which are provided by the cloud computing platforms. When I say IoT, IoT may have certain devices, it may have some certain sensors. Every device or sensor may have its own IMEI number. It could be registered over the cloud computing platform, and once we are registering and enabling the key of that particular device or sensor with that particular service of the cloud, in that case my data is getting automatically passed on to that particular account. For example, if I am a fleet owner and I want to allow this data of these buses to go on my cloud computing platform, I would subscribe my particular account on the platform like AWS or Azure, and after subscription, that device will be registered on that particular segment. For example, if I have one application, I will create a subject. In that subject, I will register my particular device. So the data of the device will automatically come to that account, and the data is getting stored to the DynamoDB in AWS. In the similar fashion, for that particular application, I could onboard multiple devices and multiple features. So first of all, I have to register each feature, that is each bus, and in that feature, I have to register multiple sensors so that the data may pass on in particular categories to that particular cloud computing platform. So actually, it is the ease of handling this particular data transfer and all. So the software application developer may not need to bother about how the data is coming to that cloud computing platform. He will have the data in arranged format, which can be used for particular software development purpose. So this is the advantage of the cloud computing services provided by these platforms. And basically they have categorized in 3 of the following categories. Software as a service like this Microsoft Teams we are using right now. So we are not bothered about anything, how it is getting managed. Even if the participants are increasing today in this meeting to 50,000, it could be accumulated because it has the capability of the virtualization and flexibility of increasing the data size as per the requirement. That is one aspect of it. So when we are using Gmail services, we have the number of emails coming in, and we have not allotted any specific restricted data like 2 GB or such. So when we, after 15 GB, if we want to pay something to Google, our capacity can be increased. It is based on the virtualization. There is no hardware server allotted to it. So that is the advantage and flexibility of it. And as an end user, if we are getting only as a service and we are not bothering about anything, then we are calling it as a software as a service. So we are getting the software for usage. We are not bothered about anything. Platform as a service is most common in industries where actually we are using platforms, Microsoft Azure or Amazon Web Services as a platform. So as I referred, we are getting the platform portal of AWS and Azure, and there we are actually registering the devices. We are actually handling the data in the DB of the cloud computing platform, whatever available. So that is the platform which is provided by the service provider, and we are using it for our service creation. So I can create n number of software applications by using this particular platform which is provided, where I can store the same data so from the devices, from the sensors. I can leverage that data, I can process that data, and once I have the RESTful APIs available, I will create n number of applications. For example, one I can create for the map tracking of the application. Another I can create for the employee related application, like who entered in the bus, who has not entered in the bus. I can create reports or I can generate graphs on the software application. So such kind of application can also be formed by using this platform as a service. So once I have this platform as a service, I am bothered about registering the devices, my data, whether my data is available or not, how to handle that data. And once that data is available, I can leverage it for creating applications to the end user who are using my application. It will be software as a service, but for me who is operating it, for me it is going to be the platform as a service. But here I am not worried about infrastructure. Whatever infrastructure is there, that is already provided by the cloud computing providers. So I do not worry about that. But when I say infrastructure as a service, I have to manage the infrastructure part of the platform as well, like virtual machines, servers, storage. So load balancing, like if I have multiple networks, how I am doing the load balancing, then how many concurrent users are there, then virtualization of that servers as per the capacity. So all these things I have to bother about. But here in this case of platform as a service, I have to just pay depending upon the service. Like Microsoft Azure is charging for per minute, whereas Amazon is charging per hour. So depending upon the capacity, I have to pay, and I have to manage my data on the server, on the platform, which is provided on the portal. When I have certain credentials, I am logging in and I am managing it over platform as a service. But in software as a service, I am getting entire application. I don't need to bother about anything. I hope I am clear with these 3 delivery models. So on top of that, the cloud deployment is again classified as public, private, community and hybrid cloud. So when I say public cloud, it could be accessed by anyone, whereas private cloud has certain restriction. Let me tell you, Gmail could be considered as public cloud because I can have a Gmail account, other person can also have a Gmail account. But yes, I am not interfering into his personal mails and he could not interfere into my personal mails. So basically public is what the service is available to everyone. So that is the public form of it. But there are certain cases of hacking or security restrictions that it may not be very much secure. And that is the reason private cloud has come in the picture. So there are certain banks or financial transaction related sensitive information which may not be accessed over the public services provided by AWS or Amazon like cloud computing platforms. So in that case, I have to go for the private cloud, and obviously private cloud may have high prices, and that is the reason it can have high scalability and high security. So when I speak about scalability and security and prices, everything is high about the private cloud and it is cheaper in terms of the public cloud. Now, depending upon the requirement, we can choose the public or private. And also we have the flexibility that some of the services provided by the cloud computing platforms, which may not be very much sensitive, could be accessed as a public, and whereas some of the services which may be data sensitive or which may be very much sensitive, that could be accessed as a private services. So that kind of leverage could also be accessed, whereas some of the services could be taken as private and some of the services could be taken as public. There are certain communities in the market. For example, there might be share brokers who belong to one community, the trader community. So their requirement might be specific. They might be accessing specific services. So for that matter, we can create community clouds or open source cloud for accessing those for the purpose of those communities. Then we have the combination of public and private both. So that is the hybrid cloud, as I have mentioned, that some of the services are accessed as public and some of the services are accessed as private. So that could create the hybrid cloud of it. Then we have the IoT applications. Now IoT has vast scope, and due to this COVID pandemic, actually we could see the traction in the market, in industry, that most of the companies are spending 25 to 30% of their IT revenue on this particular IoT and cloud related services. Because earlier it was not in manufacturing, but now most of the manufacturing plants are also imbibing these IoT technologies. Smart health, I would give you an example and scenario in my next slide. And smart agriculture is there. So Microsoft Azure has come up with specific agriculture related services which are specifically used for agriculture purpose, wherein we can do automation. For example, if there are certain sprinklers in the field and we have certain sensors who could actually determine the quality of the soil, in that case, based on the data, we can have certain okay, let me give you an example. If there are certain sensors who are actually determining the moisture level in the soil, and the data is coming on my cloud computing platform on a real time, in that case, I could write a program or an algorithm, or I could write the set of rules on my cloud computing platform that if the moisture level drops a particular point, then generate an alert. So when the moisture level in the soil drops a particular point, automatically on my software application, I could see an alert. It could be an Android application where I could see alert notification that the moisture level has dropped. So I could switch on the water pump machine, and the watering could be done, right? This is one scenario. If I want to automate it, in that case, I could have one sensor on the switch particular water pump, where I could write a rule that whenever that moisture drops a particular level, pass an action to that particular sensor or a device sensor on that particular water pump that switch on the water pump. So once we have the action rule, the particular message will be passed on to the sensor, and if I have that sensor on my switch, that switch gets on. and that watering could be done. So that is the complete automation process. So I don't need to bother about anything. Depending upon the weather conditions, if it is rainy, no issues. If it is very much hot, no issues. My sensors are actually going to determine the real-time moisture level. It could be after half an hour, it could be after every hour. It need not necessarily to be done after every fraction of second. We could generate the data in batches and we can run the batches of 1 hour and we are getting the data, we can process it. And we have the rules written over the platform by leveraging some of the services provided by the service provider on the cloud computing platform. And once this is called as the complex event processing of the rules or of the information that is there in the raw format. So if I have set some of the rules based on particular feature for a particular sensor related data and I am triggering it, the alerts will be generated at one end, and at another end the action will be passed on to other sensor which is there in the form of a switch on the water pump, which is actually causing the watering of the plants. So that is one scenario, smart agriculture scenario. Same is the case for the smart transportation. Now in transportation there are multiple cases. For example, there is a container which may contains food items which has to be transported from one location to another, and transferring may take 2 days of time, and for that matter a particular temperature has to be maintained inside the container. So how will I determine whether that particular temperature is getting maintained inside the container or not? In that case I may require temperature related sensors inside my container, and I may need to fetch the temperature related data on a real time, and if the temperature is getting maintained or not I will get to know. And if that temperature is getting dropped, I will have certain course of action that could be passed on again to some of the sensors specific to the air conditioning devices on that particular feature of interest, that is the container. So that is the retail or consumption part of the business industry where IoT could be used in terms of the transportation. When I say transportation, there is a fleet management, and fleet management is the very much vast area where most of the IoT related applications could be used. For example, I had just demonstrated you the real-time tracking of the buses. So in that case, let us consider an example of Zoom application. So we can hire the car and we can ride it. So in US also such kind of car service providing companies are there which may give you car for hiring purpose. But if there is certain restriction that I have onboarded the car for traveling within Maharashtra region, and if I am going to Gujarat, in that case there might be a chance that it may be an act of car theft. So how the administrator could stop it? He could create a virtual geofence around a particular location. For example, if the car is at Mumbai and it may have a geofence of 10 kilometers, and if the subscription is for Pune city only, in that case you could see how this car has traversed from Pune to Mumbai. So when this car is actually going from near the boundaries of Pune city, we could see the 10 kilometers of geofence, virtual geofence, that is actually alerting the administrator. Okay, let me tell you in detail. There are latitude and longitude with respect to each geo position, and at the real time the software is giving me the latitude and longitude GPS data of that particular car. So I could create a virtual geofence, circular geofence of 10 kilometers around the car. And now when my car is nearing to Mumbai location, the 10 kilometer geofence will determine that it may go to Mumbai, that is against the boundary of that Pune city. So that is the reason I will get an alert here. So once I am getting an alert, I will be closely tracking the movement of that bus, which route that bus has taken. I can confirm with the driver and I can avoid the theft. So that is one of the scenario in fleet management when the administrator can stop theft of the vehicles even if it is a subscription basis. Again, smart energy is there. TCS has multiple products of smart energy management where the TCS has helped other organizations to control their energy consumption, because you can have automatic lights. So when you are moving inside the hall, depending upon the movement of an entity, the sensors could recognize that there is a movement, and that could enlighten the switches or lamps. But if there is no movement for, let's say, half an hour, it could automatically switch off. So that is the power of the sensors. Okay, and this is how the smart energy could also use IoT. It need not, the example that I have recently given you need not necessarily to be internet based. It could be based on the hardware devices only, but we could leverage it to more extent, that on a plant where large amount of energy is getting consumed, we could have such sensors and devices, and we can manage the data so that we can get energy efficiency by using IoT. It could be done for water conservation also. Like if I have certain taps and I could see I am traveling to some other place, I have the Android application installed on my phone, and I could see that this tap is switched on and the water is flowing, and I am traveling somewhere else. So I could just press a button on my Android application with respect to particular tap, so that an action is passed on from that cloud computing platform to the sensor which is there on the tap at my home, to switch off that particular tap, and it could actually conserve the water. So there are multiple applications which are with respect to the remote control and operation of the devices or equipments at home or at any location. One of the example is healthcare. So as I told you, healthcare I will touch in details later. So if there are human bodies, and if I have some of the sensors and devices, there are old people at home, and there are certain sensors which are actually getting the pulses on real time. I can write a rule on my platform that with respect to this particular feature, if I could not get any data or any pulse data or any body movement data for, let's say, 5 minutes, please generate an alert. So in that case, an alert will be generated. And by using the RESTful APIs, if I have created an Android application, that information could be passed on in the form of notification to me. So if I am in my office and I could see some old person at home, and there is no body movement for 5 minutes, I could recognize that there is certain problem, and I could actually mitigate a problem out of this. So IoT could be leveraged for multiple applications. It could be with respect to smart agriculture, transportation, fleet management, energy conservation, or healthcare. The core aspect of it is going to be the same. There is a feature of interest. There are sensors, devices which are actually fetching the data, and over the protocol it is getting passed on to the cloud computing platform, where I am managing it as a platform, and then I have leveraged big data analytics for processing the data. I am actually writing certain rules depending upon my use case, where the data is getting processed as per my requirement. And once the data is getting processed, I can generate reports, I can generate alerts. At the same time, not only receiving the data, but actually it is two-way communication, that once I have processed the data, I can give the action command to the actual feature of interest. The action command could be anything. It could be watering of the plants. It could be switching off the tap. So two-way communication is actually possible. That is, remote controlling of the devices is actually possible. We could remotely control human bodies. We could remotely control fleet of vehicles and anything. One of the test case is the driverless cars. When I was referring to the 5G technology is actually going to enable driverless car communication. Now here multiple things are involved. When I say a car is there, it may not only need to generate internal data, but it may also need to generate the external data. For example, the car may have radar, it may have sensors. On the external body of it, which might be revolving in 360 degrees and generating the data in 360-degree dimension. Now you see, if there is another car, the laser radiation may be passed on to the another car, and the time of returning of that laser radiation could be detected. Now, depending upon the time taken by the laser radiation to come back, it can also determine how long that another vehicle is and in which direction it is. So I can get the 360-degree idea, like in which direction, at how many, for how long the another vehicle is there. And also I am fetching the data in real time. Now you imagine, my vehicle is moving on in east direction, another vehicle is coming on in west direction from front. Now that another vehicle is not stable, it is coming in my direction, and continuously I am passing the laser beam over it, and I am actually fetching the shortening distance, like at one interval it is 5 meter, at another interval it is 4 meter, at another interval meter. Now I could determine how fast the distance is changing. So that is also helping me to determine the speed of the next vehicle. So I know the distance of the vehicle, I know the speed of the vehicle which is coming in my direction. Similarly, I can get this view for 360 degree, and this data is getting passed on a real time to my cloud computing platform. And now that raw data is getting segregated, and different cloud computing processing is happening simultaneously to process the data. Now I may have machine learning algorithms, I may have artificial intelligence algorithms on top of that particular vehicle in order to take the decisions based on the data that is getting collected. So once I have that data, I will be creating some of the algorithms based on AI or machine learning, which will be determining the decision making of that particular vehicle in terms of the driverless cars. So based on the data, the vehicle can take decisions for driving without any human intervention. And also you see, when we are driving on Indian roads, we may need to be a bit aggressive for some of the time. So that kind of aggression may come up from the records of data collected over a period of time and different scenarios. We can create some algorithms specific to this particular scenario, and based on these algorithms, we can actually execute the action back to the vehicle. It may be with respect to the sensors applied on the brakes, with respect to the sensors applied on the steering wheels, or it could be anything. But ultimately, we are fetching the data on a real time using laser or radar or any of the equipments from the vehicle. We are processing that data. We have certain algorithms which are enabling the machines to take certain actions. And that is the reason the sensors on those steering wheels and all are able to work. Okay, it could be based on satellite. We may take help from the satellite for getting the data and processing the data. Like Tesla is the leading company who is actually working in the driverless car field. Google is there. They actually have such kind of sensors and devices all over the vehicle, which are actually fetching the data, determining which vehicle is coming in, and taking actions based on the scenario. So that is the example of the driverless car. Now you imagine when this ecosystem is there, when I am speaking of an ecosystem where all the driverless cars will be communicating with each other over the road. Now you can imagine how huge the data is going to be, how much importance is there for the security of the data and scalability of the data. Not only scalability, the security of the data is going to be the most important. Because in such ecosystem, if there is security breach or certain hacking kind of practice is occurring, it may lead to lot of problems in such kind of ecosystem. And also high speed data processing is very much important, and data transmission is very much important. And that is the reason I had said earlier that the telecommunication technology, the cloud computing technology, the big data technology, the artificial intelligence and machine learning, or even application development. It could be Python language, which actually helps for handling lot of scientific data, scalable data, high-end data handling. It could be any of the Java Spring Work framework, or it could be Android application. So those are all the aspects. One of the end is application development. It may be Python, it may be Java, it may be Android. At another end, we have algorithm specific complex event processing on the cloud computing platform. We have the segregation of data. We have the devices sensors related data, we have registration of sensors, we have registration of devices over the cloud computing platform. Then we have various protocols used for specific purpose for fetching the data. We have edge box, edge computing for temporary processing the data over the hardware. We have onboarding units. We are actually processing the data, which may have certain compartments for putting in the SIM card, which may get the data passed on to the cloud computing platform. We have the sensors specific for a particular software purpose, for particular operation, technical purpose, for fetching the particular data. It may be number of sensors. It could be in the form of software or laser or radar or anything. And that actual ecosystem is creating IoT. The core aspect of it is going to be the same, but depending upon the application and use case, we can leverage in any of the industry as per our requirement. Now I am actually demonstrating you how that application architecture is. See, we have IoT architecture. We have on the left end, we have the feature. We have gateways. We have the protocols which is actually connecting with this cloud. And in this cloud, we can have multiple elements. The elements could be the services provided by the cloud computing platforms. And on top of that, at another end, we have the third party system. It could be mobile application. It could be third party system. It could be software application. So the software developer is actually getting the RESTful APIs. He will be getting the data set which could be used for creating the software application. So whoever is creating that software application may not need to bother whether my devices are there, my sensor is there, which protocol I am using, what cloud computing platform is actually doing in terms of processing. You don't need to bother about anything. The only thing he needs to do is creation of software application by using the RESTful APIs. The cloud computing platform or the Azure architect or maybe the Azure administrator, infrastructure administrator may take care of other things. At another end, the devices and sensors or hardware part of the thing can take care of fetching the data from the device. Hello sir, can we stop the recording for a bit?
Yes, sir.